we've got a special guest with us. Lion Shiloh. Where is Lion Shiloh? Lion Shiloh, am I catching you in a bad time? Come on up. And sponsor, please come up.
Oh, me?
You're going to have someone to take your picture. Come on up. Lion Shiloh, what an honor it is to have you here. I know you drove 2 hours to be with us here today. You know, you don't get people unless you ask, and I want to thank the sponsor for extending the invitation. Tell us a little about your story.
Well, I'm proud to be here today. We got anybody from Odessa, Midland area out here? West Texas? I know we got people from all over Texas. You know, I grew up in McCamey. You know, anybody know where McCamey's at? All right. Well, I'm a Texas native, and I joined the Army in 2002, right after 9/11 attack. Well, since my injuries, I get invited to a lot of events. I get to, since I got injured in 2007. So, being back in Texas, it's certainly hot, the burns. I don't do real well in the heat, but I went out to West Texas, and kind of reminded me of Kuwait. If you've never seen Kuwait, all you have to do is drive through Odessa, Midland area, and it's real similar, minus camel, plus the mesquite trees, But anyway, I remember flying into Kuwait. And I looked out the window and I was like, y'all can't fool me, y'all sending me back to Texas. Well, I went out there not too long ago for a parade, and I know you can't tell today, but I traded in my combat boots for cowboy boots, kind of getting back to my Texas roots. And I decided I was going to get me a cowboy hat to finish the outfit and cover my head out there in that Texas heat. I went to one of the boot stores there, and the girl come up and asked me what size my head was. And I just told her, I said, honestly, I don't know, it's kind of new. Let's start small and work our way up. She had a couple of hats in her hand. She was real confident about what she had. So she handed me one, and I set it on my head, and it just sat like right on the crown of my head. Well, it must have been like a child's hat. It had like a little elastic band. Well, that one was clearly not it, so I was pulling it off, and she was real confident about the other one. So she set it up there and popped it down. Well, when she did, both of my ears popped off. Like bouncing around on the floor. These work out for long-range conversations. If I can't hear y'all back there, oh, you know what? I brought my other ears too. These are for even more long distance. They're spot. Somebody could go out in the hall and I can hear them. But I'll tell you, I've been real blessed in my recovery. Feel kind of like Humpty Dumpty being put back together again. But what was funny about being out there in West Texas is my ears bounced all over the floor, right? And it was kind of shocking to me because I had just got the ears. Well, I'm bending over to pick them up, and I started thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not in San Antonio. San Antonio is real welcome to guys like me, and that's one of the reasons that we stayed. There's a lot of military there, a lot of veterans, and people just don't look at me the same as, when I go away from there. And I guess some people, they just, can't take their eyes off of me. I know I'm good looking. I got jokes today. Sorry, I'm kind of wound up today. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not in San Antonio. And I'm about halfway over and I look up and that girl is just like, I know the first thing she probably thought was, oh my God, I broke him. I honestly, I missed my cue though, and I was kind of thrown off because I had just got it and I was a little embarrassed. So the only thing I could come up with was like, wow, I bet that happens a lot. She didn't even like poke me. And I was like, well, I'll just look around. On the serious side, I really did. I joined the military after 9/11, 2001. I know a lot of people in this room remember where you were that day. I remember where I was. and it scared me. You know, our nation was attacked in one of the most horrible attacks in history. Not just on our nation, but in history. There's almost 4,000 innocent lives lost in a matter of hours. I felt like it was my duty and my calling to join the military and serve my nation and do my part. My father, my grandfather were veterans, both served in the Army. So, you know, I grew up on their stories. I grew up with their patriotism, and it kind of instilled in me. And after our nation was attacked, I knew I had to do something. Well, I had 2 tours in Iraq. Kind of joking aside, I did fly into Kuwait the first time, and when we drove into Iraq, I knew that we needed to be there. And I know that there's been a lot of controversy about why we was there, but Saddam Hussein had just ravaged that country. Those people had nothing. I had never experienced a third world country or poverty of that level. It was like traveling back in time. I couldn't imagine how these people could live like that. So I knew from the minute I went across that border why I was there. I wanted to help those people. I wanted to do my part, not just to defeat terrorism, but to help those men and women and their children, and hopefully get them back to a stable community. On my second deployment, I was there with 10th Mountain Division. We was all what we call light military, where we was dismounted and on Humvees. The first deployment we was heavy, which means we were on tanks and Bradleys and heavy mechanized vehicles. So the second deployment was a little different for me, but just as rewarding. For the first deployment, highly tactical. We was kicking in doors, arresting bad guys, and you know, disarming bombs and doing all that high-speed stuff that some of us Texas boys grow up on. You know, so you know, it was rewarding. But the second deployment, just as rewarding. I went back. You know, of course, we was still had a military stance and had to protect ourselves. But we were also building schools. We were delivering medical supplies. We were helping the people rebuild the nation that had been torn apart, not just by us, but you know, hundreds of years of chaos. And I was very proud to do that. And I can literally say that I was in on, you know, the plans to help build schools. On February 19, 2007, our whole platoon got a call to investigate a possible IED. And what that means is we have to go secure that site. We don't have the luxuries of what we would normally do is that we would walk in front of the vehicles in high-risk areas to make sure there's no wires or disturbed dirt, anything that's obvious that there was a bomb or some kind of a threat in the area. Well, we was driving cautiously, but we were still driving in kind of a hasty manner to get there. And my truck was hit with about 800 pounds of explosives buried in the road. There was, we obviously, you know, we don't know what all it was buried in the road, but they estimated about 800 pounds due to the damage that it caused. And when I say damage, I was in a Humvee. It blew that Humvee to pieces. 3 of the 4 doors were blown off of the vehicle. The entire top of the truck and the back hatch was blown off out to a field about 300 or 400 yards. I mean, this was a huge explosion. And honestly, it's a miracle that anybody survived. My driver and I were the only 2 that survived out of a crew of 5. We lost 3 American heroes that day, 3 of my friends. I can say that they were great soldiers, and they were because I know them. And but more than that, they were my friends. You know, we spent day and night together, getting to know each other. We trusted each other with our lives, and it really felt good to be a part of a team like that. But it was extremely painful to find out that I had lost those soldiers and friends. Well, I had a long recovery, about 3 years of surgeries. Overall, I think I've had about 75 surgeries. I think my worst day, and you know, I know that's hard to say after the explosion, but one of my worst days was, I guess you could say it was the reality of my situation. The doctors come in and they said, Shilo, today we want you to take 10 steps. And I was like, 10 steps? I was like, man, I'm a combat soldier. I do 25-mile ruck marches. I don't own this place, you know, I was all cocky about it. And anyway, 3 steps later, I had to get back in bed. Just getting out of bed was the most excruciating pain that I had ever experienced in my life. And I knew at that moment that it was going to be a long road. But I keep saying I'm blessed. I really am. January 2012, we got the ABC's Extreme Makeover House in South Texas. Yeah, Todd Pennington, Paige, Exhibit, who else? Elizabeth, Ed. What was the other guy's name? Michael? This is my daughter Elizabeth, by the way. Would you stand up, please, Elizabeth? She's an aspiring Leo. I knew at that moment that it was going to be a long road. Each day, I would take a few steps more. I didn't start running marathons in a year, but each day I got better at what I did. And I think that's something that the Leos do, little changes in the communities for a greater outcome. Each and every day, if you can make a change in somebody's life for a greater outcome, you're going to build a great community. Being a part of the Lions Club means a lot to me. I'm still learning what all the programs are and everything that we're involved in, but I am a huge fan of being a part of another winning team. And I look forward to bringing my kids in it. My daughter, she's one of 5 children. I know, I got 5 kids. It's been an extremely blessed journey. And this is just another way for me to serve. Being able to come out here and visit with y'all has been hopefully rewarding for y'all, but it's extremely rewarding for me. Because I can see that there's a lot of caring and loving people here. And I thank you so much for what you do in your communities. I thank you so much for what you do and whatever programs you're involved in. Thank you for those.